Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and we're at the Zone Show, and you're watching True School Sports.
The untouchable True School Sports empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I wanted to make this video because, first of all, I think this guy deserves a video. I think this guy fought well enough to get his own video here on True School Sports. And that guy is one of Canada's very own Custio Clayton, man. Shout out to Custio Clayton because this is a guy that I will not even lie to you guys. Before the fight night of his fight, I never heard of this guy. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know anything about him. I'm gonna say it was about 3 or 4 hours before his fight where I took some time to go watch some film on him, to watch some tape. And after watching, I watched his fight against DeMarcus Coley, and I watched one of his other random fights for a couple of rounds. And I was telling my pops and Alex, before the fight started, I said, I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna pick this guy to win because I'm seeing some really good skills from him, and I think his styles did match very well with Sergiy Lipinets, who was gonna be the biggest test of this guy's career because he took this fight on short notice for starters. That's number one, and that's always tough to do. And also because of the fact that Lipinets is hands down easily the best fighter he's fought on his resume to this point, and Lipinets is a guy that is respectable, credible welterweight. I wouldn't say he's like top 5 or anything like that, but he's definitely someone that's teetering around that top 10 position, 9, 10, maybe 11ish, top 15 for sure though. So it was a good step up for Custio Clayton. And I remember I went on my live, and I was telling people before the fight started, I said, look, I watched this kid Custio Clayton fight a little bit. I like what I saw. I think his style is going to be a good matchup against a guy like Lipinets, and fair play to him. He proved me right. He proved me right, and he continued to further the reasons as to why I am the untouchable True School Sports empire, because he boxed really well. I mean, this guy has a really sharp, long jab, and he used it in this fight. He utilized the ring very well. He got better as the fight went along. He showed the ability to counterpunch consistently and effectively, and I thought he won the fight. When I scored the fight, I had it a bit wider than the judges had it. The judges had it a draw. A lot of people on my live had it 115, 113. I had it 116, 112 because I like the fact that Custio Clayton was in control for a lot of these rounds. Using his lateral movement, using the ring, and not even just that. His counterpunching against Lipinets was very effective because Lipinets was coming forward and really wasn't moving too much, and was very squared up to be hit. So I thought Clayton did a good job of making him miss and making him pay. Only criticism I would have of Clayton's performance, and it's actually it's the reason why I think he lost this fight, is that, and somebody pointed this out to me on the live, he's got this habit of when he punches, he moves immediately, which isn't a bad thing. That's not a bad quality to have, to punch and move immediately. But I just think there were a couple of times in the later rounds of that fight where he needed to hold his ground, assert himself, and push Lipinets back. And he didn't do that because he didn't want to deviate from his game plan, and he fought within himself. And I think if he would have been able to do that, he would have got a clear decision. But I thought he won this fight. I think that, I'm not gonna say it was a robbery because I think a lot of these rounds are close, but I think the fight had a clear winner to me. I mean, you guys let me know what you think about the fight between Clayton and Lipinets. Did you think the fight had a clear winner? Because I thought it was a clear winner. The way he was able to utilize his jab, the way he was able to set up his counterpunching, and just make Lipinets become a neutralized fighter, because we know Lipinets is a guy that likes to go on there and he's on top of you and he likes to break you down, and he wasn't able to do that for a big part of this fight. A lot of that was because of what Clayton was doing. So whether you think he won or whether you think the fight was a draw, the one thing we can say about Custio Clayton is that he's definitely earned his spot in the welterweight division. He has announced himself formally to the world of welterweight boxing as somebody who is a legitimate opponent. Because sometimes you can go on BoxRec or Boxing Scene and these sanctioning body rankings, and you can look at these names, and you might see a name or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Depending on what sanctioning bodies rankings you look at, and you might not be too familiar with these names. And Clayton, before this fight, was one of those names. He was a name that, for most boxing fans, including myself, we weren't too familiar with. But he's a guy that has earned his spot. He's definitely shown himself to be a worthy opponent. And I don't want to gas him too much because at the end of the day, he did get a draw, and there were some things that he did leave to be desired. But just to be positive, to look at what he did positive, Clayton, to me, in my opinion, has one of the best jabs in the division from what I've seen. It's sharp, it comes out well, it's speedy, it can pierce the guard of his opponent, and it did in this fight. So I love what I'm seeing from him. I think he's a credible opponent for just about everybody in the weight class because of his skills. And just looking at the rankings, if you take a quick look at the rankings, particularly the WBO rankings, I don't think it's far-fetched to say that this guy could be Terrence Crawford's next opponent, because when you look at these WBO rankings, and my man Alex pointed this out to me, so I want to give credit to him where it's due. You know, looking at the rankings, Custio Clayton is ranked number 4th in the WBO rankings, and we know that it's a known fact that these PBC welterweights are not exactly in a rush to fight Terrence Crawford. So, when we look at these rankings, you got Sean Porter number 1, and Porter's on record as to already saying that he'll fight the winner of Danny Garcia versus Earl Spence. So let's just scratch him out at number 1. He's not going to fight Crawford next. Then you got Vergil Ortiz at number 2, who's like Golden Boy's cash, one of their upcoming cash cows of boxing, and he's a bit green. So I don't, even though I think he could fight Terrence Crawford and do well, and he's ready for that level, they might want to get him some more seasoning in the professional ranks before they put him there with a guy like Crawford. And then number 3, you got Mikey Garcia, who's very inactive. They just showed him. He did an interview this week on the Gallo Estrada Quadras rematch, undercard. Mauricio Sulaiman, the president of the WBC, did this long interview with him, and he looks fat. He looks chubby, and he's someone that looks like he's just content where he's at, and he might not even box again. So once you get past that top 3, the next name is Custio Clayton, and I believe Alex was telling me today that Lipinets' manager was saying that they're not even going to be looking at Clayton for a rematch next. And I don't blame them. He looked like Lipinets is a guy that, not too long ago he knocked out Lamont Peterson, and he needed to make a statement in this fight, and he did not make a statement. And if he did make a statement, his statement was that I'm just another welterweight, and I'm not going to get that level. This statement did more for Clayton in a draw than it did for Lipinets. So I don't blame them if they don't want to fight Clayton, because Clayton's a tough matchup. He's strong. He's got good speed. He's got respectable power. He's got a sharp, precise jab. I wouldn't fight him either if I were them, because I think it'd be worse for him. So I'm thinking if Lipinets doesn't fight Clayton and give him his rematch, that this could be Terrence Crawford's next opponent. And I don't think it'd be a bad opponent at all for Terrence Crawford, because Clayton is someone that he's got a good long jab. He's someone that's I believe, in my humble opinion, I know it's one fight. I know Lipinets is not Terrence Crawford, but you can only fight who's in front of you. If you guys don't understand this, boxing is a business, and sometimes fighters don't get opportunities till later on in their careers, later on in their lives, for whatever reason. And unfortunately for Clayton, he spent the better part of his career in Canada and wasn't getting those opportunities. So now he got an opportunity. He showed that he's willing to take these kind of opportunities against a guy like Lipinets on short notice, and he performed very well. Imagine if he would have had a full training camp for this fight. It probably would have been better for him and more advantageous for him. So, I'm just throwing it out there, guys. Don't be surprised if Crawford can't get these fights, and there's not a whole lot of opponents in the top ranks there for him to fight. Clayton is emerged, in my opinion, as another potential option for Terrence Crawford, because nobody 1 through 3 is going to fight him due to political BS, due to maybe being too green, and also due to not being motivated. When we talk about Porter, Vergil Ortiz, and Mikey Garcia, so the next best option is Custio Clayton. And I think at this point, he's earned his spot as a legitimate, credible, I don't want to say top 10 welterweight, but, top 15 welterweight. I would put him at least above Lipinets. People put Lipinets in the top 15, towards that lower part of the top 15. I would put him above Lipinets, as like somewhere around that 15, 14 range. Because when we look at Clayton, we're talking about a former 2012 Canadian Olympian. We're talking about a guy that, he fought DeMarcus Corley. He fought the guys that were in front of him. And when he fought a guy that we knew of, that was credible, that wasn't past his prime, on short notice, in America for the first time, those are very tough circumstances, by the way, if you're a fighter that's not from America. You're coming to America, you're fighting on short notice. A lot of fighters fold under that kind of pressure, and Clayton didn't. Clayton didn't just fold under pressure, but that pressure made a motherfucking diamond, and he boxed very, very well against Lipinets, a credible name in the division. So let me know what you guys think, man, about Custio Clayton. I think he's arrived in the welterweight division as a formidable name and opponent, and I want to see him again. And I do think it's realistic to believe that, maybe Terrence Crawford's fight, if he beats Kell Brook, could be against Custio Clayton due to how the rankings are structured in the WBO. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding, Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.
Hey guys, Christina Poncher here, and you're watching True School Sports.